Welcome to How to Run Profitable Retreats. I am Leni Cavazos, retreat strategist and host of the show for coaches, entrepreneurs, and transformational leaders who want to design retreats that actually make money. If you've ever put your heart into a retreat only to walk away exhausted or worse, broke, you are not alone. This podcast is here to change that. Each week, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and expert insights to help you create meaningful, transformational retreats that also support your business, your lifestyle, and your bottom line. Let's make your next retreat not just powerful, but profitable. Hello, welcome back to another podcast episode of How to Run Profitable Retreats. I'm your host, Leni Cavazos, and I'm so excited to be here with Erin B. Haag today. And guess what? She is a returning. Yes. I'm like, we're going to be talking about recurring revenue. So my brain is a little bit on that space.
I'm recurring and returning.
Yes, you are, right? So she's returning as a guest on our podcast because, I loved having her so much before. And I really honor and value what she brings to the table by running profitable retreats that are actually recurring revenue. And the way she has this model that is so unique. So when we were just chatting the other day by email and she's like, well, maybe I can come back. And I'm like, yes, let's do this. I mean, isn't it great to have experts? And we were behind the scenes talking about how important it is to really run your business like a business. And we were talking about, cost of acquisition, client cost and VOs and a lot of fun stuff. But for everyone who's here and is going to be listening to this conversation, I want to introduce you to Erin in case you have not listened to her previous podcast. And if you haven't, go find it. Yeah, we're going to actually put it on the show notes so you can go listen to the previous podcast episode because it was so great. But Erin is the founder of Luxury in Business Retreats and the creator of Pricing Overhaul, a consulting company that has helped hundreds of business owners transform their pricing, simplify their offers, and increase profitability without burnout or hustle. Known for blending luxury, strategy, and sustainability, Erin is a retreat industry leader who has coached other retreat professionals to sell out their retreats and earn between 25K and 50K in profit. And I want to stop here just for a second for everyone who's listening. If you're in this moment and you're thinking, how the hell am I supposed to make $25,000 or $50,000 from a retreat? We are here to tell you it is possible. There's a lot of people doing it out there, and you do need to understand that your pricing should be for profit. So don't be scared by the numbers because it is definitely a possibility. It's something that maybe you might not have considered in the past, and that's okay. And we're here to shift that mindset. Okay, and she's also the author of Give Yourself a Raise, the mindset and math you need to price with confidence. I have to tell you, I've read her book, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. So definitely worth a reading. And she empowers women to price boldly, lead transformational experiences, and create businesses that both feel profitable and purposeful. And today we're going to be talking about recurring revenue with retreats. Isn't that amazing? Thank you for being here, Erin.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about this concept of recurring revenue with retreats for anyone who does not know about it.
Okay, so my primary business is called Pricing Overhaul. Pricing Overhaul is a method that I created and trademarked and developed and now offer a certification program on that helps all business owners in service-based industries overhaul their pricing for profitability. And the framework, I actually talk about this in my book that you mentioned, Give Yourself a Raise, the mindset and math you need to get to your first million, is all about creating monthly recurring revenue in your business, where 80 to 90% of the revenue coming in should be recurring. What recurring revenue does is it allows a business to accurately predict how much money they're going to generate month after month after month versus starting at zero every single month, not knowing where the money is coming in. So when I opened luxury and business retreats, I was like, well, I have to use my same model and my same method and theory for that business. And I need to get my retreat business on a recurring revenue model. And I teach this method to retreat professionals of all kinds, not just leaders, but chefs, photographers, facilitators, coordinators, it doesn't matter. Anybody who offers a service in this industry can get on a recurring revenue model. And what that does is for leaders, instead of launching a retreat and having 0 rooms sold, and every single time they launch a retreat, working to fill that retreat with new attendees, recurring revenue, when a retreat is integrated into an existing offer, allows you to launch a retreat, announce it, and already have 10 out of 12 slots taken. So you're only having to find 2 new people to come in to your retreat, as opposed to having to now find 12.
Right. Or a lot of people want to do retreats with 25 people, right? Imagine the
Right.
stress of getting 25 people to sign up.
Right. Well, and then once you start hosting events with 25 people, you really need to kind of rethink, is this even a retreat?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like 25 people isn't really a retreat. It's an in-person live event or experience, which is different than a retreat, but that's a different topic for a different day.
Yes. Agreed. But yeah, and I think this is great. And of course, it makes complete sense that you were moving your current, like your original business model, right? What you were training people to do towards your new business, because why recreate like a wheel, right?
Right.
When you have something that was working.
Exactly. Well, and it just makes the business so much more sustainable. I always have cash coming in every single month, upwards, well, more than $25,000 a month in recurring revenue coming in every single month. So I always have the cash on hand to prepay for retreat expenses. There are upfront costs associated in this business. And so I always have that. And I'm always able to plan 2 or 3 retreats out because I constantly have cash flow coming in. And I don't have to sit here and wait to collect attendee payments before I can actually make a payment or invest in future retreats.
Right. Yeah. And this makes total sense in the sense of like, I see a lot of retreat leaders that come and they're like, oh, I want to work with you. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And they're like, but I have to pay the deposit for the venue. And I'm like, well, yes, you have to pay for the deposit, but if you do not like it's your first retreat, if you're not really learning, the foundations of your business and what needs to happen and how you can grow it and scale it and repeat it, like I teach it like a rinse and repeat model.
Mhm.
So when you're like thinking about this, I'm like, great, you want to put the venue money, but the venue money is not like the deposit is not as important as actually like knowing what's your retreat about, how you're going to sell it. Do you know marketing? Do you know sales? Like the venue, of course, it's important because people will have to stay there. But if you're
Right.
putting all your money, your investment money, right, your seed money of your retreat in inside of the place to host the venue, and then nothing else is happening because you have no money to promote the retreat and whatnot, you're kind
Right.
of setting yourself up for failure. So having this recurring revenue
Mhm.
takes that problem away.
Yeah, completely. Now, the first time you host a retreat, you don't have recurring revenue unless you have an existing business where you're now integrating a retreat into an already established offer. That's what I teach to my clients who work with me and inside my membership for Retreat Pros. Then you're able to host your first retreat with already established recurring revenue, but the majority of people don't. And so their first retreat is a financial risk. It's a financial gamble. You are having to first front money in
Mhm.
order to get it off the ground. But the truth is, in any business, you have to put money where your mouth is, right? And you have to invest and you have to come up and find the resources to do that. And then once you make that initial investment, then you become revenue generating.
Mm. Yeah, I think this is so, so important. Um, like, of course, yes, you cannot expect to just have recurring revenue on your first retreat because you need, like, you will need to, even if you sell it like a membership, right? Like, you will need to get your, let's say, your initial members to sign up. So let's say your retreat is for 8 people. So you'll have to get your initial 8 members
Right.
and sell them into the membership the same way you would be selling them into the retreat.
Any other thing that you're offering, right? Unless, like I said, you already have an established program or you already have an established membership, and now you're weaving your first retreat into that as something that they're receiving as a part of already being a member.
Yeah.
Um, that would be the only way that you would start with the recurring revenue. I usually recommend that people build recurring revenue for retreats once they've hosted at least 3 retreats and they have a return attendee rate of at least 50%.
Mm.
Then you've already proven the model, and now you're very easily able to sell your existing clients into this recurring revenue model because they're already recurring, they're already returning.
Yes. Yeah. And I think this is important because so many times when we're new in business, especially like I see it a lot in the like transformational world, right? Like you might be great and an expert in your field. Maybe you're a trauma informed coach and or whatever you are, it doesn't matter, right? Like anyone who's listening to this, put your title here, fill in the blank kind of thing. But think about it, like not everyone really knows about like running a business and the finances and the ROI
Right.
and all these technical terms that might feel a little bit daunting. So we do not expect people to be experts on pricing or on profiting or on marketing and sales, and that's why there's experts on that, so you can
Right.
come and learn from them, right? That makes
Right.
a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly.
I call it skipping the line. When you hire
Yeah.
a coach, you go into this retreat, right? You do all these
Yeah.
things. You're skipping the line. You're
Yeah.
taking the knowledge and all, let's say, the hardship and the teachings and the learnings from the other person.
Yeah.
You're absorbing those learnings, right? And then you can go apply them. So it saves you
Yeah.
time and saves you money.
Hmm.
And it's just absolutely amazing. And I think that's why people want to come back also to retreats, because if you see great results, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah, well, prior to becoming a consultant and working in this business in the capacity that I'm working in, I owned a brick and mortar Pilates and yoga studio. I had that for 9 years. So I've been working in the health and wellness industry. I opened that studio in 2009. And prior to that, I was working in the weight loss industry. So I have been ingrained in it. And what happens is, like so many of my fellow studio owners, they open studios because they're passionate about yoga or Pilates or the craft that they are an expert at. And they think that's all it's going to take to run a successful studio. And then they're a couple years in and they're not making any money and they're overworked and they're burned out. And it's because they never really built it based on a solid, profitable business model. And that's what's happening in the retreat industry is there are amazing practitioners and healers and artists and craftsmen who are putting together these amazing experiences, but they're building those experiences on a foundation of sand. It's not solid because they don't have any business um, acumen, really. And so it's important. It's important to also make sure that you have a solid business foundation because that's the foundation that's going to allow you to sustain these retreats instead of a year, 2, 3 from now when you're not making any money and you're in debt and you're burned out that you have to close your doors and stop offering these experiences.
yeah. And sometimes even before the 3 to 4 years,
Oh, yeah.
like every time, like, I'm always like I run a lot of market research in the sense of like, I am very, very curious, a little bit of nerd. And my background in in Marriott, we used to run like, well, very, very big market research for our audience. And it was just so, so interesting and how like human behavior and whatnot. So every time I have a chance, I'm always like, figuring out what's going on with retreat leaders, what is
Yeah.
happening. And like the latest number that I've found from like, this pool of people that I've been asking is around 90% of the people who actually host their first retreat never host another one after.
Yeah, it's because they're not making any money or they lose money. And, what's sad is I just saw a post. I shared this with my subscribers and my followers that inside one of those Facebook groups, somebody posted, "Are retreats even profitable?" I listened to a podcast of a retreat leader who said that if you're going to get into retreats, only do it because you want to serve people, not because you want to make money. And I'm like, we have to stop this narrative because here's somebody who offers a service that could incredibly affect and change somebody's life, but she's hesitant to do it because she heard some podcast where somebody said it's not about the money. And then you've got other retreat coaches out there who are selling this idea that hosting retreats isn't about the money and it's about the transformation, and they're selling a product to you. They're making money. They're making money off of you, and they're posting about how much money they're making, but then they're selling to you that it's not about the money. Or I listened to another podcast where there were two leaders on there who literally laughed during the podcast episode where they were like, "Oh," and then there are these coaches who are saying you can make $50,000. Well, we know that that's not true. And I'm like, oh my God, stop, stop, stop. It is true. It is true.
Yes.
And there are people out there doing it, and we can't continue this narrative that money is bad, profit's bad, and that there's no money in the retreat industry because then why else are people going to continue to do it? If they can't make money to sustain their lives, how are they going to continue to sustain holding space for others in a retreat?
Oh my God,
Anyway,
yes.
I'm stepping down from my soapbox.
But I love it because we're both in the same with the same mindset. And actually, Erin, this is so interesting because I was on this like I was part of this mastermind, and the people who were there they're like they've been in the coaching industry for 35 years, right? They're big names, they have big following. Amazing to be part of that mastermind because I learned so much.
Mhm.
And then they were like, but Lainey, like, tell us a little bit more about this, like, retreats. They do retreats a little bit of like a different way. They do more like mastermind gatherings and whatnot. And I was just telling them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yes, they can definitely be like profitable. And that's so important because, like, how do you show up to a retreat? And you're like, oh, yes, I want to serve people when you're thinking about how you're going to pay rent. Like it's not
Right,
possible. Like, I mean, you're not like if you really want to serve people, you need to understand that if you are not taking care of yourself first,
right,
this
right.
includes financially, you are gonna show up into this space.
Yeah. And I
And
understand that people are very like anti-capitalism and we need to step away from that and da 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 da. But the truth is, we live in a reality where a basic human need to survive is money. And not just enough to survive, we need to be able to thrive. And especially in an industry, a wellness industry that promotes emotional and spiritual abundance and wants everybody to thrive, how can you fully thrive if you're barely surviving financially?
yeah. Oh my God, yes. And after I gave my spiel of like, why I believe retreats should be profitable and it's very, very important and like there should be more retreats everywhere and it's so important. They told me, but Lainey, there's this super big coach out there who's telling you that in the first retreat you should be losing between 20 to $50,000. And I was like, what the like
What?
I'm like, no way. Yes, yes.
I know, I know. I've heard so many of these popular coaches who have been around forever and they hang their hats on the fact that they have all these years of experience, telling people that it's okay and normal to lose money on your first retreat. And it's not.
It's
Like
not.
my clients don't lose money their first retreat. They're profiting 17, 20, $32,000 because in no other industry or no other job would you go into it and say, "Hey, I'm going to work for you for 200 hours," which is the average amount of hours it takes to plan market, sell, host, and then post facilitate a retreat. In no other industry would you say, I'm going to work for 200 hours, and you know what? I'm going to pay you to work for you for 200 hours.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, I know. Like I have this podcast episode that just came, well, this week that we're recording, last week. And I was like, did your retreat pass the CEO test?
I saw that. It was great.
I mean, like, would anyone approve your project if you're losing money?
No,
Like, could you
no.
would it fly?
And here's the thing. Everybody says, well, I need proof of concept. Well, I'm using it for market research. I'm using it to gain testimonials. I'm using it to do this. I'm using it to do that. And I'm just like, but why? Like, you don't have to. Your retreat isn't like a brand new business that you're for the first time within the first year having to build and do all of that. Like, you're offering a retreat as an extension of services that you already offer. Most people, right? It's you're already a healer. You already offer workshops. You already work privately with people. You already do this work. You're just offering retreats as an additional offer in your offer suite. And any business that brings a new offer to market, if the first time they lose money on it, they're going to be like, ah, scratch that offer.
They pull it out.
All
Yes.
right, we're done. We're not doing that again.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And it's even in this space of like, and that's why I love having you here, because we just like think so similar when it comes to like unapologetically, you need to be making money for your business. You need to be profitable. Like, and if you're really thinking about it, it's just a different container, right? Like
Mhm.
if you're moving your online, you have your online courses, right? Your group coaching, your private coaching, however you call it, it's a container. And then you're just like introducing a different container for the same goal, for the same result, right? Like one big
Mhm.
problem, one big solution in a different container. So it's not really that you need to test the concept, right?
Right, right.
You don't. You might need to
Which,
test your marketing like grit and sales
yeah.
grit, but that's it.
Well, and that's the thing, sales grit, because the majority of people in the industry are doing what I call the post and pray, where they're relying 100% on marketing. They're posting about their retreats, but they're not actively selling. And it's also because a lot of people in the industry are being sold this idea by other coaches that all it takes is the right messaging to sell out a retreat. And again, that's just not true. The same coaches who are promoting that it's just messaging, have over 30,000 followers on Instagram, are dumping in $100,000 a year in Facebook ads. They have already established parasocial relationships with tens of thousands of followers who feel as if know them. The vast majority of first time retreat leaders, or just seasoned retreat leaders in general, are not internet famous, are not social media influencers. I only have, I think it's 1,500 followers on Instagram, yet I sell out every single one of my retreats with profit margins up to $50,000 each. Why? Because I sell. Because 80% of my activity in my business is sales activity, where I actually meet with people, have calls with them, do have conversations over voice memo and DM. I'm building a relationship, and retreats are sold based on relationships,
Mm.
not based on your messaging in a social media post.
Oh yeah, like and like a lot of your first time retreat like attendees will be people who have been already your clients. Like
Mhm.
this not new company that I was telling you about, like where we do summits, and it's all about selling from stage, right? Like it's all about sales. It's because we were like people need to learn how to sell. I was like people are scared of sales, but people
Mhm.
like women need to learn how to sell in a way that is not this bro marketing and whatnot. And we
Right.
put our first retreat and it sold out from like previous clients. And it was just like they were like, ah, signing up on the spot. We introduced it
Yeah.
in one call, and then voila, the retreat was like sold, right? So we didn't even like we don't even like promote the retreat sometimes because we have
Right. An
super
audience. an
Yes.
audience of people who already have a relationship with you, but a real relationship, not a parasocial relationship.
Exactly. But and I do agree with you when there's a lot of people, and my best example for this is all the people who teach you how you can actually be a multi-passionate and make six figures. But the reality is that all these multi-passionate people, what they're doing now is they're teaching you how to be multi-passionate. So they're really selling one thing. They're not really selling a
Yeah.
lot of passions anymore.
Well, and listen, I am a multi-passionate person. How many businesses do I have? I have a lot of them. But what I'm able to do is I have a replicable business model that when I open, establish, or become a partner in a business, I'm able to replicate that business model and that system. And that's why they work. And so the same is true with your retreats. Your first retreat definitely needs to pay you. You do need to be profitable so that you have some financial resources to be able to invest in the next. But just as I was sharing with my members inside my membership this morning, it's a gradual stretching of your comfort level, of your threshold for risk. It's with your first retreat, you might start small, you might start local, you might only make $10,000, but you've only invested 10,000. Then the next time you invest a little bit more, you stretch a little bit further, you make a little bit more money. And then you become over time more and more comfortable and tolerant to the risk involved in making that financial investment because you have proof of concept that you will sell this out and you will make money. But proof of concept doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to lose money for proof of concept. And if you're losing money, you actually don't have proof of concept at all.
Right. Yes. It means it did not work.
It didn't work. That's your proof of concept. Didn't work.
Go find a different path.
Right. Right. And I know that this conversation, I think I get accused a lot of being too much in toxic masculinity, which don't even get me started on that, or that I speak too boldly on it or too directly or da 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 da, and I need to soften it with some feminine energy. And I'm just like, you guys, somebody needs to talk specifically about profitability because if you're in this industry, it's already a given that you care, that you want to have an impact, that you want to transform your clients' lives. Like that is already a given, but there's nobody really out there talking consistently about, okay, but hi, you also need to be profitable. And profit isn't a bad word. It's not a dirty word. It's you can have both. Is this not an either or scenario? You can have an impact on your clients and you can have financial abundance. The two are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I think this is so important. And I love that you bring it back to the topic because yeah, there's not a lot of people talking about profitability, and I'm always like about like run your retreat business like a business because it is a business, right? And you need to be profitable because you're running it like a business. And it's so interesting because like a lot of people are like, oh yes, like everything's like a single out retreat here and out and there, and I'm like, no no no, it needs to be a business, and it can be a six-figure business, it can be a seven-figure business. I don't even talk about seven-figure business for retreats. They do exist. I have
Oh,
clients
yeah.
who have seven-figure retreat businesses, but
Yeah.
like people get scared.
I have a colleague who just sold her retreat business for multiple seven figures. Like it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, we tend to think because it's all about helping people that then it cannot be run like a business. It cannot be profitable. And we actually need to shift that mindset. And we need to go back to the
Yeah.
space. Like if anyone here in the audience is listening to this and you were like, what did you have to do when you were at a job in a corporate office? What were
Mhm.
people asking you for? Did you have KPIs, key performance indicators, for anyone who does not know what it is? Like it measures if
Mhm.
you actually reach your goals or you didn't throughout the year, right? Usually when you're in a job, you will have KPIs and every
Yeah.
quarter review you and tell you you did good or you didn't. Do you have
Right.
that for your business? even if it's a
Yeah.
simple way, right? You don't need to have like the 60 points.
Yeah.
But
I think I think their confusion lies where wellness professionals in particular in this space confuse nonprofit with profit. And they immediately assume that if they're in the wellness space, they shouldn't profit. Yet they're still operating and functioning in a for-profit business model. And I am all about nonprofits. If you, in fact, want to run a nonprofit, that's amazing. But the truth is, nonprofits still have to be profitable.
yeah,
Nonprofits still generate revenue, they still have profit. It's what they do with that profit that distinguishes them from a for profit business. They're reinvesting it back into the community, they're reinvesting it back into the nonprofit. How they generate their income is different than for profits. But just because something is nonprofit doesn't mean that they're
you don't need
not generating a profit. I mean, most nonprofits have million-plus-dollar budgets.
yeah. Yeah, one of like my like previous like clients, he has a nonprofit, and the only thing they do is retreats. There is no coaching programs, there is nothing else. It's just retreats. He has a retreat center, and they do absolutely amazing. But guess what? He had like when he was like working with me, I was like, this needs to be a model where you're generating profit, and like, and we were like, well, it's a nonprofit. I said, like, yes, your like your streams of income will be different, but you will need to make money because you need to pay for all the expenses. You need to make this happen, and that way it can work.
And you have to pay for the work, the people working for the nonprofits. Like people who work for nonprofits have salaries. They
Yeah,
make money. They're not volunteering their time.
exactly. Even like for some nonprofits, actually, volunteers they pay to volunteer. I
Yeah.
have friends who've gone to like and work with nonprofits as volunteers. They pay
Yeah.
thousands of dollars to be a volunteer in a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right. So like, yeah, I think this is so important. And yes, definitely you could have a nonprofit if you want to, but still you will need to generate revenue. So if really you don't want to, like, if you want to just like put it as a like a place where you're doing charity, just know
Mm.
that you're gonna still have to generate money, and you're still gonna have to sell, and you're still gonna have to go and maybe go get some funding and whatnot for your business. I mean, like, and I know we can talk about this like all day long, but I think for like everyone who's listening here, it's so important for you to remember that yes, of course, like where our main topic was recurring revenue, but we always like stroll towards the profitability because if you want recurring revenue, you need to be profitable. Because what's the point of having recurring revenue if you're not being profitable? But anyone who's listening here, like I want to invite you to really be a little bit more discerning of what you see online from other retreat coaches.
Hmm. Well, and this isn't, the Lenny and Erin bash other retreat coaches episode. This is just about calling attention to the things in the industry that are broken and false narratives that are just being perpetuated repeatedly. And I don't think that people intentionally are doing so, from a place of ill intent. I just think that they're also so ingrained in this narrative and so deep in belief that this isn't profitable and that retreats are only about the impact. And if you're in retreats for anything other than having an impact, you're in the wrong business. And I just think that it's really important for people to continue to shine a light on both.
Yeah.
It's both. And, it's like you go to these masterminds and somebody says one thing and you might disagree with it. And instead of saying but, you replace but with and. It's both
Yeah.
and impact and income.
Yeah. And I love this because I think this, like, and this is why I was like talking, we need to be more discerning of the content that we're consuming
Mm,
and
yes.
what we're accepting as our truths. I mean, if anyone here wants to accept their truth and that means I do not want to make any money from retreats and I just want to do it for serving, it's totally your prerogative, right? But just like really ask yourself, does this really make sense? Is this logical? Or am I just like accepting it because someone else said it.
Right. Well, and it's it's very ingrained in female identity that we have to be servers, number
Hmm.
one. You know, that's part of what society has conditioned us to find our value only in the service that we provide to others and not in the success that we can actually generate for ourselves. And so I think that, especially in this retreat industry and wellness space that is dominated by women, it has that heaviness of we have to serve, we have to serve, we have to serve, because as women, that's what we've been conditioned to believe, that our value is only worth how we are in service, how much we are in service to others.
Hmm. Yes, and I think this is like bringing it to the whole conversation we're talking about, like people saying, "Oh, maybe Erin, you're too masculine." But I think if we remember, really, we both have masculine and feminine energy inside of us, and we need to work with the two of them. It's not one or the other. And
Yeah.
as women, we
I
both.
hate the whole feminine and masculine BS. I'm just going to call it out because it boxes us into this binary and it completely excludes a population of people who do not fit into that binary. And it only feeds into stereotypes of gender, where this is a masculine energy and this is a feminine energy. And I can't subscribe to that and I can't buy into it or feed into it because I don't believe in the binary. I just believe in a human experience, and there's a range of human experiences. There are a range of genders, there are a range of feelings and emotions and characteristics. And as human, we are on this range and at varying points in our personality, and one doesn't define me as more masculine and one doesn't define me as more feminine. It's just like, why don't we all just be humans and stop
Yes.
trying to put us into these two binary boxes? It drives
Oh
me
yeah, and
nuts.
agree. Yeah, no, and I really feel that at the end of the day, it's all about like who we are as humans. And we're
Mhm.
not the same person every single day. We're shifting, we're
Right.
changing, we're evolving. And, like, I do not see you, Erin, one day going and like everything is about service, right? It will be like, but you will shift as a person, you will evolve, you'll become more of an expert in your field. The same will happen with me and with everyone in the audience, because as we're shifting, we're becoming new versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's important for us
Yeah.
to like honor that and understand that we're not going to be where we're yesterday. We're not the same person. We're like feed by our experiences, and because of that we get to just be whoever we want.
Yeah, yeah. And the truth is, in the work that I do, I strongly believe that my work is all in service. It's all in helping other people. It's just serving in a different way. It's helping women, especially, see that there are more possibilities for themselves and showing them that, listen, you don't have to buy into the narrative. You can be an individual. You can make money, and that doesn't make you bad or less feminine because you want to earn money, you know? So everything that I do is in service.
Yes,
It's
true.
in like I'm trying to heal the financial scarcity and all of the money mindset stories and that women are so trapped in.
Hmm. Oh my God, yes. And I can tell you, like, I had to do so much work on money beliefs and money mindset. Like, I took a certification, I took theta healing sessions, like everything, because I was just like, this is not the life that I want to live, right? This is not who I
Yeah.
want to be or how I want to act in my life. So let's just like figure it out. And I went and I did tons of work, but I see it every single day.
Yeah. I just today I received a comment on a post that I shared in one of those groups, and this woman, I'm so happy that she shared this with me. She says, I'm reading it, so it's quoting, "I'll admit this time last year your post triggered the shit out of me. I have some clear money stories I need to rewrite, but I am working through it slowly, beginning to honor my worth and charge what's fair for my knowledge, not what I think people can afford in all of my offerings. So thank you."
Yes.
And
This is
this
so
is
powerful.
the work that we and more people, more women need to get on the train and continue to shout it from the rooftops. We need to stand on our soapboxes.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like really, I think it's so important that like more people are gonna like talking about it. And I do see a shift, not just on like retreat, the retreat space, but also like people shouting out into the space of like sharing your Stripe notification screenshots does not mean you're profitable.
Oh no, no, no. Revenue is a vanity metric. Profit is where it's at. And so that is definitely, it's like, okay, great. You can generate X dollars in revenue, but how much did it cost you to get there? And that's also something that is not being, talked about and shared is, oh, I've made $900,000 in 3 years off of one mini course. It's okay, but how many Facebook ads do you have running a day? And what is your annual ad spend? And how much did it actually cost you to do that? What's the profit? That is really, really important
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
seven figures, like getting to seven figures means nothing if you're taking home less money than you did when you were only generating $250,000. I see it all the time in my work. People who start working with me and they're seven-figure business owners, and by the time I get into their numbers, I'm like, oh boy, but you only paid yourself $60,000. Yet somebody else who I've been working with for a long time, we finally get them to like their first three, four, $500,000 a year, but they have a 56% profit. They've paid themselves like $300,000. I'm like, yay, amazing,
Yeah, there's this like big coach, and she spoke about it in a podcast episode a couple of months ago. And she was saying that, like she had to go and redo her whole business model because she made $3 million in revenue and she only profited 16%. That's $600,000.
Yeah,
Imagine, she's like, imagine the amount of people that I have working with me to reach these $3 million, the amount of stress, the hours,
mhm.
the this, that is like, she's like, it doesn't make sense. So she
Right,
went and she like, she started like skimming her business and just making it more profitable. But like a lot of people out there, they just like were like, oh, these coaches making so much money, they must be
right,
doing great. And
right.
so many times they're in debt. They're like, so we
Mhm.
need to again, I think my invitation for everyone here today, and it's like it's really what's coming through, it's like be more discerning of the information you consume.
Yeah. Well, and just taking the time to dig in to your business and looking at it from a numbers standpoint. And what do the numbers tell me? The numbers tell the true story of the business. And if it's not profitable, it's not sustainable. And it just needs to change. And so that's when you look out for consultants or coaches. It doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be you. It's anybody who really understands the mathematics of business. I think is, important, especially if you're a healer, if you're in the wellness industry, if that is just not part of your regular thought process, you want to engage with those people who like that is their area of expertise because you need both.
Yes, you definitely need both. At the end of the day, if you're running a business, you need to like learn the business skills, or at least learn how to read the reports. Like when I was studying economics, there was this whole thing about like I was in like the top economics university in Mexico, and there was this other school, very posh, very nice. And the whole thing was like the people who were studying in the school where I was at is the people who actually run the reports. And the people who actually are on the posh school are the ones who learn how to read the reports, right? So you don't need to learn how to do the reports, but you can learn how to read them.
Yes, yes. And just learn, yeah, learn how to interpret the numbers and what the numbers tell you about your business and make decisions from that. And yes, I believe in making decisions from a heart-centered place, um, as long as the math also supports it.
And I think this is great. Like definitely the math, like the numbers, like they need to work together. They're not
Mhm.
separate entities, right? Like the two
Yeah,
pieces, they need to come together, and that's fine.
yeah,
And understanding your numbers, it's crucial for your business. It's just a
exactly.
huge, huge difference.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I do what I do in luxury and business retreats is the people I work with, I'm not telling you how to work your magic. I am not teaching you how to transform your clients' lives. I am like, by the time you come to me, it's already a given that you are an expert in your field. You transform the lives of your clients. You're a healer. Like all of that is already a given. What I'm now going to help you do is take all of that stuff that's already working for you and just help advance you to the next financial level. That's it.
I love it. Well, Erin, thank you so much for being here. I think for everyone who's listening to this, like, just really take these messages home. Like, think about them. Like, if you need to pause through the episode and just listen to it again and rewind and be like, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean for me, for my business? How could I, like, am I ready to add recurring revenue into it? Am I being profitable? Do I know my numbers? Like, or have I just been hiding,
Winging it. Yeah, a lot of people just wing it.
Yes. So yeah, this is great. And Erin, she has our little gift for us. So it's a
Yes.
top 5 tips for profitable retreats. So definitely the link is going to be on the show notes. So you definitely want to go grab that one. I have it myself. It's great. Like I told you, I'm a big fan of Erin. Like we really share a similar mindset when it comes to really running businesses like a profitable in a profitable space, and how we really love that people are changing their lives, but the only way for you as a host retreat leader to do it in the future is if you have a business that you can keep running on and on and on and on, instead of having to close your doors like Erin mentioned. So thank you so much for being here. Do you want to share something before we wrap up?
No, I mean, thank you for having me again. It is always a pleasure. And you and I are going to see each other in October at the Women's Wellness Summit in San Diego. You're speaking, I'm offering a workshop. So it's going to be a lot of profit talk there. I hope people can stand us. But prior to that, I am also hosting a retreat in Slovenia for retreat professionals. And the theme of that is all about creating and establishing profitable pricing and recurring revenue in your business. So, as of today, when we're recording this, it's July 2nd, I only have one shared room left. So, I would say reach out to me if you are inspired by this topic of conversation and you just want to be in a space and place with other industry leaders who are of the same mindset.
I love this. And everyone who's listening, I know I have a lot of people who come back and listen to the podcast episodes afterwards. So thank you so much for that for all the audience. So, but know that Erin has a membership for her retreats.
Yes.
So if you cannot make the one in Slovenia, definitely check out all her future retreats because she runs
Yes.
amazing, awesome retreats. Maybe we'll all get to meet together at one of them.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for being here, Erin. This was absolutely wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
See you all next week.